Warning, this podcast contains violence, sexuality, gore, and other horrible and disturbing things. Listener discretion is advised. Also, the hosts of this venture are ignorant dipshits, so please do not take anything they say as fact. And enjoy the show.
Now, are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then we'll begin.
Today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be.
The atoms in your left hand probably came from a different star than your right hand.
It is our basic human right to be fucked up.
A second plane now has crashed into the other tower of the World Trade Center.
Putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
The defendant shall be incarcerated for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men.
We were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
Occultae Veritatis.
Falun Gong is the ancient Chinese art of lifting heavy objects with your scrotum.
Holy fuck.
Okay.
I'm
the expert.
I deliberately didn't look up anything.
Me
just
too.
So I could go in fresh. The last thing.
Hello, occultists. Welcome back to Occultae Veritatis podcast. My name is Leon Filger, along with
St. Murray!
Ood Gallifrey.
and in studio with us,
Jason.
and
Richard Bigley.
we've got a wonderful show lined up for you tonight. It's about Falun Gong. There's not a whole lot of genital stretching involved, though I kind of led you on. But first, what's your poison?
So, what's your poison?
So, what's your poison?
So for tonight's poison, this is I'm going local, pulling out from a paper bag now.
Oh,
That's what she said. I can't stop.
You know a lot of women that put things in paper bags?
I don't know.
Their faces.
Okay.
Ouch.
That's rude.
From the Last Mountain Distillery in Lumsden, Saskatchewan.
Ooh. Yes.
306, the original rum. It looks pretty decent. I've never had any of it, but I do have 5 glasses of red Powerade, so we're going to make my favorite cocktail ever, rum punch.
I love
Whoa.
Last Mountain stuff. Their stuff is really good.
Let's give it a try.
I love it because it has electrolytes. It's what bodies need.
And
It's what plants
It's what
crave.
plants crave.
Yeah. That movie used to be more funny when it didn't match reality as well.
Right?
I was going to say, we're getting closer to that every day, man.
Yeah.
Every day.
I like that they put it in a wine bottle. It kind of classes up the look of the rum.
They have that same kind of bottle. Like I have the pickle vodka, like the dill pickle vodka, which is really good for Caesars.
Yeah.
And it's like the same kind of bottle.
Is there a...
Okay, Sage, here's your baby glass.
Thanks for my baby glass.
If you put a dill pickle into vodka, would it just like...
Pass 'em
Would
down.
it degrade?
I don't know. I'll try it.
Yeah. I think that would be good marketing if you put a pickle right into the bottle.
It might get like floaties and like.
Thank you, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers. As the Ukrainians say, na zdorovia, boy.
Daj Bože.
Nice hola boy.
No. Na zdrowie
Na zdrowie.
and Daj Bože.
De
Means good
Borja.
luck.
I'm sorry to all the Ukrainian speakers out there.
In Germany, we just said Prosit.
Prosit.
Prosit. Or halb besoffen ist verschwendetes Geld is my other favorite German proverb. Means half drunk is just wasted money.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So what do we think?
Or in the words
I
of
like
my
it, delicious.
grandfather, try and hit your mouth this time.
Your grandfather's a wise man. Or you can say Budmo.
You know what? This isn't all that bad.
It isn't all that bad. I was going to say, I'll add to the conversation. I'm French, so I'll say, we just say, I surrender. That's all we do.
Merde.
No.
I mean, it's turned out okay for a lot of surrendering. It's turned okay for France. You know?
Yeah, they're still existing. They're still going.
Yeah.
Look at them go.
I don't know. I find this to be drinkable. I don't know. The sports drink mix is probably a little too watery for my liking. I mean, I'm sure it would be good if we went, kind of Kool-Aid as opposed to sports
Or
drink.
Flavor Aid if you were in Jonestown.
There you go.
They actually drink Flavor Aid and not Kool-Aid.
I don't know.
Fun fact.
Am I wrong that
like still
this-
or
No, when they all killed themselves.
but like, do they still like? Can you still buy Flavor Aid?
I think it
in
was
Jonestown?
discontinued.
They discontinued it. Eh? Okay.
Does Flavor Aid come from Flavortown?
No, that was before Flavor Town.
Should we bring up Guy Fieri?
Fieri?
Ferrari.
Funky,
Okay.
Also known as the lead
From
singer
Funky
of
Town.
Smash Mouth.
Okay, I think we're
Or
gonna start
ICP.
stretching our scrotum right now. Is
Yeah,
that,
okay.
Is that
What's
what we're gonna start doing?
who hasn't rated this shit yet?
I haven't. It's delicious.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna give it 4 out of 10 because
What?
That's a good rating.
the alcohol burn with the Powerade, it kind of tastes like cough medicine. I'm not a huge
No,
fan.
it doesn't.
Try mine. I have like a little baby one, and it literally just tastes like delicious Powerade.
Should run that rum through like a Brita
Okay.
filter
Okay.
first, and then see
Then
what
it
happens.
would not be rummy.
That's the whole point.
Right. I will admit that rum is my favorite hard liquor.
Yeah.
White,
I like vodka.
Like white rum is as good as it gets for me.
My favorite is a full cup.
Falun Dafa, also known as Falun Gong, is an advanced self-cultivation practice that improves mental and physical wellness through physical exercises and the development of one's character. In China, cultivation practices have a history of thousands of years and form the spiritual foundation of Chinese civilization. In 1992, Falun Dafa was introduced to the public by Master Li Hongzhi. The practice quickly spread because of its profound principles and proven health benefits. By 1999, with over 100 million practitioners, Falun Dafa had grown to become the largest practice of its kind in China and around the world. Traditional Chinese medicine focuses on energy channels and believes that the health of the body is related to the health of the mind. Falun Dafa cultivates mind and body simultaneously, improving the body's natural immunity.
I had a very, very bad immune system. I was sick all the time. And I came to the practice for spiritual reasons, but I immediately stopped getting sick. I kept thinking, why am I not getting sick? I kept saying, what's wrong? As a matter of fact, I go to parties now, and they used to say, oh, give the sick babies to Jeannie. She never gets sick.
I feel an energy in my body that's very subtle and hard to describe, but it feels very good. I could have very little sleep and I'll feel awakened, but not like a coffee energetic, like a very calm and collected energy. And that 1 hour it can feel like a day, and then I'm refreshed and ready to go.
So before I practiced Falun Gong, when I got scolded by my boss or supervisor, I was very annoyed, and immediately I would complain about others, or felt it wasn't fair. But after I started practicing, the biggest lesson I learned was looking inside and always find something to improve within myself.
If I didn't like something that another person did, I would think about, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that that person does that. And I realized that it was having a direct effect on my health by having that bad thought about that person. And as soon as I realized that, I changed my thinking so that I wouldn't think about what things I didn't like or liked about other people, and more just how I should be responsible to being a good person and controlling my thinking and quieting my thinking. And then the headaches went away.
Let me tell you the backstory of how I became involved in Falun Gong.
Oh, God.
Here we go.
So, as many of you don't know, I work in frontline healthcare, previously in Alberta and now back in Saskatchewan. And I deal with a lot of crazy people. And I don't mean mentally ill. I mean, we've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, actually, batshit fucking crazy people, like cultish type folks, Christians, all sorts of other whack jobs.
And you're usually meaning people who cause harm or mislead people.
Yeah, just that sort of people. So I was going about my work the other day, working well, as I always do, as I have for 7 years. And the daughter of a patient gave me, stuffed into my hands, a large pamphlet from an organization called Min Guai International, which brags that it's online in 17 languages. It's called Falun Gong, a peaceful practice for mind and body, now persecuted in China.
Oh,
now, this is the longest fucking tract I've ever
It's
dealt
long.
with.
It's like something that you get for like college application.
It's like a magazine.
Yeah,
It is,
that's
yeah.
a magazine, man.
So basically what Falun Gong is a cross between yoga, Tai Chi, and organ harvesting.
What?
Okay, that took a turn.
That did it. Took a dark turn.
Yeah, there was a controversy. So the Chinese government banned it because they said it was the Communist Party in China. The Chinese government banned it because they thought it was a movement that was contrary to communism.
Okay.
And it was, because Falun Gong had millions and millions of adherents around the globe, including a lot in China, or in China rather, in Canada. They also had like huge festivals by the Washington Monument in Washington, Madison Square Garden. They had a couple 100,000 people in there just performing Falun Gong.
Crap.
Wow.
This brochure purports that the benefits of Falun Gong are promote spiritual growth and physical health, relieves stress and anxiety, increases energy and vitality, and grossly increases the risk of the Chinese government harvesting your organs for sale.
It's always surprising to learn about an organization that could fill up like a stadium that usually only people like, Justin Bieber or Kanye West could fill up. Like, it seems like they should be more notable in society, but it's always surprising.
To be fair, the claim of to give you more vitality is like the most common. Can we swear on this podcast?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
No, my virgin ears.
It's like the most fucking common, like, goddamn fucking thing I've ever heard. Is
Yeah.
we give you
Well
more
articulated.
vitality.
Yeah. It's like boosting immune system. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Or
it's like an
detox. Detox. If no one, in very few exceptions, no one needs a goddamn detox.
I have a liver and kidneys. I'm good to go.
Yeah, exactly. If your liver and kidneys
Speak
are not
for
working, go to the
yourself.
hospital.
Yeah.
They,
My liver's long gone.
They do make some interesting health claims. I'll give you two here, again, taken verbatim. This is what they said. JY in New York writes, quote, I was a chain smoker. I smoked a pack or two of cigarettes a day. No matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't quit. All that changed overnight, however, after taking up Falun Gong. Suddenly, cigarettes just tasted awful. I managed to quit just like that, without even trying, you could say. Bullshit, you didn't. I've quit smoking so many fucking times.
Me too.
No one
It's
ever
not-
quit
it's-
smoking like that. That's bullshit. This
It's
is a
hard.
lie.
Yeah. Quitting smoking is hard.
And no one quit like that.
No.
It was shitty. It was shitty for everyone when they did it.
Yeah.
That's why they all started again. That's why I started again 3 times, because it fucking sucks to quit.
Do you think that's a total fabrication, or do you think she's misremembering?
That's got to be a total fabrication, I think.
Yeah.
If this person
Even exists. is a
Or
person.
the other thing I'm thinking it could possibly be is like the day, like this was last night she quit.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then it's like the first day, it's like, oh, I feel good. The first day or the second day, there's that
the
honeymoon
first few
period.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's still riding high on willpower and all
Yeah,
that.
And the Nick
yeah,
Fit
like
hit.
right
until she has a
there.
beer that night and realizes she can't drink beer without a cigarette, and then
Yeah.
this is bullshit.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. There's another claim here. This from JJ in Toronto, not related to JY from New York. He says, quote, while studying lemurs in Madagascar,
Oh no.
I was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome. a
Julian
rare-
Barr?
Thank you.
Yeah.
A rare neurological disorder where the immune system attacks the nervous system, debilitating and sometimes killing you. At the same time, I learned that I had a parasitic worm infection
No,
as
you
well
didn't.
as mononucleosis.
Oh man.
Oh my
In
god.
short, I was in rough shape.
When they tell you to boil the water, boil the water.
While the latter two diseases had treatments, Guillain-Barré
Julian Barr.
Guillain-Barré is apparently not treatable. Over a few months, I tried several alternative treatments, but none of them seemed to have any effect. Then a conversation with a friend led me in a new direction. He told me that practicing Falun Gong had helped him with his symptoms similar to mine. I watched a Falun Gong video, and despite my skepticism, started to feel better right away. So I decided to try the Falun Gong exercises, and my strength immediately began to return. I kept at it, and not long after, returned to my neurologist. Congratulations, she said, you're perfectly healthy. And I've stayed that way ever since.
I think Julian Barr is like a legitimate disease that you get from vaccines, like some people get from vaccines.
Yeah.
Well,
like it's a legitimate complication, right?
Guillain-Barré is a legitimate complication. I'm just looking this up online now. It seems like it's legitimate, very rare.
Yes, it's like super rare.
1 in 100,000, it looks
Yeah.
like. Autoimmune disease involves muscle. So it seems like the description of that would be good, but maybe he's doing that weird thing where it's you say something so esoteric or so specialized knowledge that no one's going to question you or call you on it because no one knows, so no one's going to say anything, right?
Yeah, if you name an obscure disease and nobody knows what it is, nobody's going to be like, "Hey, you're full of shit." No,
exactly.
And it's important to be confident when you say it, though, because if you don't sound confident, they're going to question you. But if you say it with like absolute confidence, as though it's true, people will buy it. Like, I can say, the sky is pink. And that's because of Mars being in retrograde right now, as you can all clearly see. Well, I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but it's crazy.
That's why the long form of con man is confidence man.
Yeah.
Really?
You don't have a con without the
Or are
confidence.
you just doing that confidence thing?
That's a thing.
It's a thing. I'm literally watching through Mr. Robot right now, and that's a quote. You don't have a con without confidence.
Isn't that a great show?
Oh, I love it.
Holy shit, what a hidden gem.
I got to get back into season 2. I just watched the first season. I was like, fuck, this is amazing.
Watch Mr. Robot.
Yeah, watch Mr. Robot. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So in the early part of the 90s,
Sorry.
when Falun Gong was first on an uptick, the ruling Chinese Communist Party didn't pay a lot of attention to it because they're just some hippies doing their thing. However, by the mid-1990s, there were more than 100 million adherents of Falun Gong in China alone, which is scary because there are only 65 million members of the Communist Party.
So Canada has a population, 35 million right now?
Yeah.
So 3.5 Canada's worth of these people?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
In 1996, the government started banning their books, started banning their practices, and then started arresting the spiritual leaders of Falun Gong, which was hippy dippy shit, but still a peaceful movement. Like it's like yoga. It's not going to hurt anyone.
Under what legal precedent or charges did they arrest them?
Communism is the official state religion, and anything that's not communism is banned.
So they're not contributing to the state as much as they should be, kind of thing?
Well, they're political dissidents because by practicing Falun Gong, they are practicing against the Communist Party.
I see.
Because
can I ask a really stupid question in the middle of this? Sorry, can I ask just
yes,
pretty
absolutely.
stupid?
Oh yeah.
If there's 65 million members of the Communist Party and 100 million members of the Falun Gong, the members of the Communist Party, are these just government officials, government employees, and then everyone else is not
and
considered?
everyone else is a proletarian. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was somewhat confused there, but I'm like, but that what?
Yeah, there's like the
numbers,
ruling
but-
class, the partied class, and the proletariat class.
So the ruling and the party class are Communist Party, whereas the
proletarians are generally workers, laborers, and Falun Gong practitioners.
And they're like the mass number.
They
like
represent the largest group. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
the vast majority of Chinese are in abject poverty. Their fancy Shanghais and whatnot.
Yeah.
And just a few people get to enjoy that.
Yeah, just doing substance farming and all that.
Yeah. And I mean, the Chinese Communist Party has a lot to do with oligarchs in the same way the Russian Communist Party does.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of way they operate. But when Falun Gong came through, when it first started up, and let me just give you their little blurb on how it started. Falun Gong is an ancient Chinese spiritual discipline in the Buddha school tradition. It consists of moral teachings and give 5 gentle exercises that are a truly unique and highly enjoyable way to improve your health and energy levels. At the core of the practice are the values of truthfulness, compassion, forbearance. And so, like, it's a good thing. It's a good, like, hippy-dippy organization. Didn't threaten the Communist Party at all because these people are just killing time, which means they have less free time to overthrow the propertied class. But then it came to be that they had like 10, 20, 30 million adherents, and suddenly the leaders of their movement were taking on positions of power that were greater than the positions of power of the members of the Communist Party.
Oh my.
So they became a direct threat that they suspected that Falun Gong was going to be used once everyone was doing it to overthrow the communist government.
Because if you are capable of overthrowing, then you are a threat, regardless if you have intentions or not.
Yeah. So in 1996 and early 1997, 40 leaders of the Falun Gong disappeared.
In China's Liaoning province, a female Falun Gong practitioner died after 5 years of torture in prison. According to the official source of the Falun Gong human rights crisis in China, the Falun Dafa Information Center. 55-year-old Wang Chunxiang was first abducted by plainclothes police shortly after she was sentenced in a sham trial to 8 years behind bars and sent to Liaoning province women's prison. In prison, Wang was badly tortured and denied medical attention. Eyewitnesses report guards order inmates to beat her up. She was also locked up in an ice-cold warehouse.
Oh, over the next 5 years, her health has been deteriorating due to torture and while she was being held in detention. And later on, around September 25th, 2011, the prison authorities finally alerted, her family members that she had died.
Authorities told her family she died from a heart attack, but refused to provide any hospital paperwork supporting that claim. They saw her body look just skin and bones. Zhang says the persecution is as severe now as it was at the beginning.
The persecution is, the same, and it's as brutal and relentless as ever. And the death of Miss Wang Chunxiang is, example of that.
Wang is the 54th Falun Gong practitioner that has died from persecution since January 2011. Falun Gong is a peaceful meditation practice based on the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. The Chinese regime has been persecuting practitioners since 1999.
They just were taken in the night, and no one ever saw them again. So they were killed by the government.
Yeah.
And then they started banning Falun Gong books, banning the practice everywhere. And then after some time, Falun Gong, the list of people pursuing Falun Gong were taken by the Communist Party, and they took certain leaders from the party into their hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I'll step back to the time. During that time in China, during the late 90s, there was a shortage of organs needed for transplantation into party members and members of the property class. And where do you get these organs from? Well, we've got a whole bunch of Falun Gong members who are in prison right now.
Holy shit.
Why don't we take them? And there's no confirmed number as to how many, but it was in the thousands of people who just had their organs taken by the Communist Party to put in communists.
Man. What is the philosophical concept of government where the best overall for everyone? What is the name of that?
Utilitarianism?
Yeah, that reminds me of the dark side of utilitarianism.
Yeah, the very dark side.
Because as long as it's good for the majority, through utilitarianism, you can justify harvesting organs from thousands of people in order to benefit the greater good. It's horrifying.
I would like to point out to them that on the third page of their massive tract that I guess we're calling a booklet now, a magazine?
Yes.
Yeah. They have 3 photos that I know to have been taken by the Hubble Space Telescope. The Andromeda Galaxy, the Galaxy M10 behind it, as well as the Ultra Deep Field Hubble Space Telescope pictures. And they're all printed in this guide without credit. So I hope NASA JPL finds that and comes after them, because I'm sure as shit they didn't get permission to use those images.
Are they using them for some star sign interpretation stuff?
No, what's written right below it is, the ancients believed that through disciplined spiritual practice, a human being is capable of transcending this ordinary existence, a higher state of what is being envisioned, one with unique joys and knowledge, free from the suffering and illusions of the world. Attaining this state requires moral rectitude, the severing of desires, and the use of special meditative techniques to refine both mind and body. Various schools of cultivation practice arose, each offering its own spiritual path. For millennia, these traditions were passed down from masters to disciples throughout Asia, often in secluded monastic settings. Falun Gong is one such place. So that's kind of bullshit.
With the exception of those last 2 phrases, everything else before that was true, with the preface of the ancients believed.
Yeah.
Not that it is true and that it's verifiable and that it does happen and blah, 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 blah. But basically at that, it's just a list of a bunch of things we used to believe. You know, just like we used to believe the Earth was the center of the galaxy or, all that shit too.
That's a clever way for them to frame it, because they can say, well, the ancients believed it, and most people wouldn't pick up on that subtlety.
Oh yeah, that's something you gotta. I've read a lot of religious literature.
I'm ready to convert. Where do I sign up?
I know. I want to learn how to do this because I want to try it.
I just want to stretch my scrotum. What if I just want to do that?
I'm still hung up on joining OTO because sex magic. So.
I know sex magic is pretty cool.
What?
Enjoy your semen cookies.
On one of the after shows, we got an email from a former OTO member, and she tells us about the sex rituals.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did an episode on OTO. You'd know if you listen to my fucking podcast.
I'm sorry, Sage. I'm sorry.
Just to let you know how our
Traitor.
how low our standards are. You don't even have to listen to the podcast to be honest.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm sorry. just for a little context, I'm friends with Sage, Leon, and Ode.
Oh yes.
In like
I'm not
outside
his
of
friend. This is Richard.
I'm
I'm not his friend.
I've just met Richard. And
Richard's my best friend.
Oh,
Other
cool.
than us.
I love you, Leon.
I get really defensive.
Yeah,
like, I'm your best friend too.
Okay, let me tell you about the organ harvesting. It's
All right,
interesting.
organ harvesting.
Okay, so this is how the state-sanctioned organ harvesting went down. According to the practitioners of Falun Gong, and honest to Christ, like whether the Chinese government's got more reliable figures, I doubt it. So this is how they figure it went down. There was organ donor selection. So Falun Gong detainees undergo routine blood tests and physical exams to determine their suitability as involuntary organ donors. Blood type and tissue details are then fed into the China-wide state database for candidates of organ harvesting. Then come the prison and the labor camps. So the prisoners of conscience, mostly Falun Gong practitioners, are killed in order to harvest their organs, generating huge illicit profits for party officials. The hospitals receive those organ transplant owners. Organ transplant surgery is scheduled within 2 weeks, and suddenly that 2-week period when the recipient is on the bed, bam, there's your new heart right up on the door.
Foundation. There are things that are happening in China which are of enormous historical significance. The persecution of Falun Gong is one of the most horrific, large scale. There were 70 to 100 million Falun Gong practitioners when the persecution started. All of them were instantly put under persecution.
I had never expected to see this in my lifetime.
There's no moral ambiguity. There's no shades of meaning about this. It's an evil crime, and it's happening. I mean, this is the case.
We do know for a fact that there's large-scale executions in China. We do know for a fact that executed prisoners have their organs harvested unwilling, without their consent. We do know for a fact that the Falun Gong are depersonalized, dehumanized, and marginalized, repressed, persecuted, both in word and in deed, in the most vile ways possible.
One of the first people we met with was the wife of a former surgeon, and she told us, I guess this was 2006, she's now a refugee living in the United States. She told us that her husband, during the period 2001-2003, had removed the corneas from the eyes of approximately 2,000 Falun Gong practitioners. Their corneas would be removed, then they're unconscious at this point. They'd be taken into another room, and their heart, lung, all their vital organs would be removed for sale purposes.
What I would be skeptical about in that paragraph and phrase is that they instantly are like, this is how they profit. And I sit back and I'm like, I'm not sure if they're profiting by that or if they're simply living longer, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe, like profit to me, and maybe I'm incorrect. I could very well be wrong in this for sure.
I think there's money involved. I think they're selling these organs around to other folks outside China.
They could be. That's very true. Because the whole donor database thing, that's done all over the world, including Canada. Not the whole killing the prisoners and harvest your. That's not done all over the world. But organ database, very, very common thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So current day Falun Gong's not practiced en masse in China, although the incursion of Western media has made it a little bit more allowable. They don't practice in Tiananmen Square anymore. The last time they tried to, 4 of them got set on fire. And then the government said no, they spontaneously combusted. It's like, no, there's gasoline on them. And anyway, so the Falun Gong kind of...
Sorry, my mind just caught up with what you said. The government's official opinion was that they spontaneously combusted.
Yes.
No, the government. Oh, is that what I said?
That's what you said.
Okay, well, it's the government spontaneously combusted them.
Okay.
It was the government's opinion that they had spontaneously combusted.
Okay.
They had in fact been set on fire.
Okay.
So anyway, in my rambling conclusion, Falun Gong doesn't take place a lot in mainstream China anymore, but there are a lot of old practitioners who practice in their home in the same way that we practice yoga here, but just not yoga in the park with your dog.
Yeah. Because people would look at you weird if you're lifting weights with your balls in the park.
Yeah.
That's not what they do.
No, but there are now millions of Falun Gong practitioners all across the world, the bulk of them in California.
The United Nations 21st session of the Human Rights Council is underway through Friday, and China has been coming up repeatedly. In particular, the trials of former Chongqing Party chief Bo Xilai, his wife Gu Kailai, and the right-hand man, police chief Wang Lijun, have been of particular concern. These three have long participated in the persecution of the Falun Gong meditation practice and were directly involved in the live organ harvesting of Falun Gong adherents. On September 18, Epoch Times editor-in-chief Guo Jun and Dr. Karen Parker, chief representative of International Educational Development, spoke at the General Assembly of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva. They exposed the Chinese regime's live organ harvesting program to more than 100 country delegates and non-governmental organizations. They demanded an investigation into these crimes. The subject quickly became a hot topic among the delegates.
This is the first time organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners has been discussed on a formal UN platform. Many representatives were happy that it could be exposed during the 21st session of the Human Rights Council. Everyone is talking about it. Some representatives who did not attend the meeting read my speech online and watched the video.
Guo Jun says that many representatives want to bring this grotesque practice of organ harvesting to an end.
And that's that. Any comments, questions, queries, concerns, statements, or
Is it like a
outbursts?
cultural appropriation thing in California? It's a brand new craze?
Only insofar as you could count yoga as a cultural appropriation.
Okay,
which
that's,
one could.
That's fair. That's fair.
Is Kabbalah a cultural appropriation?
Yeah.
Is P90X a cultural appropriation?
Yeah,
I think there is a continuum.
Yeah, conversation is definitely for academics above me. So.
Curious, would you rather the Chinese government just kill them like they're going to do, or would you rather them just kill them and then do the organ donation thing, though?
How about just the not killing? Is that an option?
Do I
That's
pick
not really
one of the two? I would say
like it sounds like it was kind of
now
like
you're being a utilitarian.
Have you met us? That's why I've been so quiet this episode.
I don't know. Like I feel like saying take their organs might create an incentive to kill more of them, so then it kind of becomes more evil in the end. But like you're kind of wasting organs that could help actual people. I don't know.
Well, instead of like forcing the organ harvest thing, why don't we just like everyone I don't think Canada does this, and I really wish Canada would. Why don't we do instead, everyone is an organ donor automatically, and then you have to opt out of it.
Yes.
I love that idea. And then like everyone's just automatic. So if I died, I don't give a shit. Use my heart, use my lungs. If it's gonna, my liver's maybe not as good, really, and my lungs have asthma and not as good either. Yeah. But like my heart and other shit, if that can be used for other people, go for it.
Like use my skin if someone's a burn victim.
The opinion of Kaiser Fahim, who is the chief bioethicist of the former Saskatoon Health Region, is of the opinion that an opt-out system is a shit idea because it violates certain tenets of bodily autonomy. However, the government should put in place a system that makes it incredibly easy to opt in. Literally every time you take your health card out at a doctor's office, you can check the box. You go to pay your parking tickets, they can check the box. Anywhere you go to do any sort of official thing with your ID, you should be able to opt in at that point. Because right now you can't opt in at all.
Yeah.
Your friends and family members have to consent to your organ donation. I've got a tattoo on my wrist that says organ donor. That means fuck all unless they can find my next of kin. Yeah. And those people say, you can take his organs.
Yeah.
I mean, in Saskatchewan, we're the worst in the country for that. We have no system, opt in, opt out whatsoever. They have to find your next of kin or your organs stay in you.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he does in fact have a tattoo, if you're listening, that says organ donor. That's not made up. I guess my question is with regards to the organ donation. Is death row people in the U.S., do their organs get donated? Is that something... Would you want an organ from somebody who was executed?
Yeah.
Before I would say yes, though, I want to know the physiological effects of the execution, right? So if it's lethal injection, what's the effects on the liver? Because most drugs are hard on livers, period, anyway.
Well, they probably wouldn't give you that if your liver was not good.
Let's say
that's what I'm saying. If it's salvageable, sure, but
is that what they do?
Well, they would
I
use.
have no idea.
They would use.
let's say it's a healthy, fresh organ for you.
And it's phenobarbital that they use to paralyzes your heart muscle.
So is it a long-term?
No. Like it'll paralyze the muscle and then it wears off and the heart's still good, but it doesn't have any effects on your kidneys or your bladder or your.
That's surprising.
It stops your heart long enough to kill it, and then it wears off.
That's right. It's got a very short elimination half-life.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So you're fine. You're fine.
That sounds like an amazing system. We should totally implement that.
Do they donate organs?
I have no idea if they do take organs or not.
I think
that's a great idea, Richard.
I think it might be up to the inmate. I think I've heard stories of people getting organs from a death row inmate.
I seem to recall that as well.
Yeah, but
sounds like an episode.
Well, if you don't want to go to hell, that's kind of your last chance. Like, I murdered a bunch of naked kids, but I'm going to give my organs away. Maybe I'll get into heaven.
Theoretically, don't they have rights? Isn't that I don't actually know this whether it is true or not, but I assume when you go into prison, rights are taken away. That's like
your right to mobility, but not your right to bodily autonomy.
Yeah,
that can never be taken away.
Okay,
no
cool.
one
I
can
didn't
ever
know.
harvest your organs without your consent.
That's why it's still illegal just to beat a prisoner without any reasoning in prison and stuff like that. Well, it's supposed to be illegal.
It's supposed to be illegal.
Whoa.
It is
ACAB.
It is still illegal, but fuck me if it's ever enforced, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah. What happened? I fell. What happened? He fell. Yeah, that whole thing.
In conclusion, if you're in Saskatoon and want to learn Falun Gong, contact Gary Yang. His telephone number is 306-261-8897 or flgsaskatoon@gmail.com, and you can sign yourself up with some Falun Gong, which is not lifting weights with your genitals. We learned today.
Damn it.
Today we learned that.
That's it for Occultae Veritatis podcast. I'm Leon Filger.
Sage Murray.
Ood Gallifrey.
And in studio with us,
Jason.
And
Richard Bigley.
Love you, bye.
Have a good night.
Cheers.
And a big thank you to our very own Leon Filger and his song, the 4-chord guinea pig song. So we have 3 emails. I'm going to let you read the middle one because the middle one is all about OTO.
Nice.
She asked me to censor the name of the lodge, though, so I'm just going to... There we go. Okay, so first one is from Shannon. She says, "Hi. I just listened to episodes on the Quiverful movement, and I enjoyed both the information and the discussion of it. I hope you do the one you mentioned in the episode, that being the purity movement.
Oh.
I grew up in that environment and have always interested in hearing deconstructions of the teachings. I have a host of sources if you're looking for any from both inside and outside the movement. I look forward to listening to more of your shows."
Awesome.
Yeah. Shannon, that's because we're all apostates and we're all ex-religion people, we're very motivated to bust some religious shit. So if we want to take a chunk out of the purity movement, I think that's pretty much guaranteed in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so, yeah, if you want to send that stuff over, we will gladly give you credit for anything you send over. We'll say, these are resources from Shannon. And thank you very much for writing in.
Thanks.
Okay. Next is from Stevie.
All right, Stevie. So the message is, I was part of OTO Lodge in Las Vegas for a time back in the early 2000s. I took my Minerval Zero degree, which was the learning degree in the OTO, and my husband is second degree, I believe. We can't talk about what happens during those, it being a secret society and all, but the masses are always welcome to anyone who wants to come and check it out. Honestly, in my experience, OTO members are a mixture of college professors, gamers, neo-pagans, atheists, etc., with a little dab of neckbeard. But those times and memories were some of my fondest. One time we had a slumber party / movie night where we watched The Serpent and the Rainbow, The Cremaster Cycle, Weirdest Stuff if you've ever wanted to fall down a rabbit hole, and Lucifer Rising while playing in a Ouija board in our pajamas. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does.
You'll run the gamut of people who really believe in the occult stuff and those who just see it as symbolism. I want to believe, but I'm more the former myself. Side note, the party after my Minerval was when I finally tasted Turkish Delight for the first time.
Gross.
What is Turkish Delight?
It's disgusting.
No, it's delicious.
Fuck you.
It's like, yeah, it's like jus candy covered in powdered sugar. It's so good.
It's good enough to lure kids to the White Witch and all that.
Yeah. One of the members knew I wanted to try it so bad after reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh, there we go.
And made sure to get it for me. Like I said, good memories. I don't think I'd move up in the OTO and take the other degrees just because of the time and energy it would take, but I'd definitely go to Mass again regularly if I can find the time. Lodges always have fun events, and I miss it a lot. Also, they do give out cakes of light during Mass, but they do not contain menstrual blood or semen. They did say you can always bring your own, however, if you want it to be authentic.
So in her lodge, she had to bring her own.
And then in brackets, it's, nah. Thanks, Stevie.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Okay, this is from Sage the Short. Any relation?
No.
Okay. Hi, I'm new to your podcast, and I think you guys are awesome, and the different thing you guys talk about are enlightening and super interesting. But every time you say Sage's name, I get caught off guard because it is also my name.
Awesome.
However, I'm happy to have the same name as someone that is intelligent and cool as she is.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Other Sage.
Or
maybe I'm Other Sage.
We're easily impressed, so ego boost will give you a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you for writing in. If you guys want to write in just to ask us a question or request an episode or just provide some extra information on something we've covered, just feel free to write in at ovfeedback@gmail.com.
Also, we take criticism, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And if you like us, the highest compliment you could possibly pay us is a referral to your friends and family.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, really, podcasts, they don't have the same reach and the same drive as, radio, TV, movies, all the classics. So really, word of mouth is still king in the podcast kingdom. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, make them into friends. Alrighty, for Occultae Veritatis, I've been Gallifrey.
Sage Murray.
Leon Filger.
Have a nice night.
Love you, bye.